Take 5. Sure. Okay, I'm going to take 5. Okay. So with that, we're going to move into County Council 6.02, Adopt a Code Enforcement Policy and Procedure Manual. And what I'm going to ask here is we have a lot of people that are very passionate about this. And what we will be doing is when we move into public comment, I'm going to ask that you be respectful. Please do not use your 3 minutes to grandstand. We're all aware of what the Fourth Amendment says. So please address the items specifically. If there's some concerns about it, please let us know what those concerns are. And if you have ideas about how that could move forward, I would appreciate that. But please, up front, please be respectful. If you're not respectful, I will ask you to sit down. Thank you. Okay, David, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Deputy Alford is here, who is the primary drafter of the document that the board is considering. But I have to tell you that the characterization that this is somehow a county council document is completely inaccurate. This is a document that has been bending around for several months in multiple meetings with multiple department heads and board. And it is a collective effort by the county to coalesce state and county ordinances into a document that can be trained to, and that the public can see and understand what's happening. Is actually creating transparency where there was none before, because nothing in this document is new. And as we move forward, I'm sure that Stephanie will be able to point out where the separate sections came from, but that's the fact of it.
Stephanie.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the board and the public. Just as an aside, and to kind of echo David's comments, wanted to point out that, as David said, there is no changes to Trinity County or to state law or to any written regulation as it stands with regard to code enforcement. The purpose of this manual was to put all of the ordinances and as well as generally state law that comes up frequently with regard to code enforcement all in one place. So not only can we train the officials in the county who are going to be enforcing these procedures, so they're all in one place, really easy to see, but also so that you know what the law says with regard to code enforcement and what your procedural rights are and what the county's responsibility is with regard to your property. So with that, when you come up for public comment, if you could state your name and speak slowly, I'm going to try to take down the major gist of your comments so that I'll be able to respond to them. So bear with me a little bit and let me know who's speaking so that I can make sure I get all of your questions answered.
Okay. Are we ready? We're ready. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to public comment. You will have 3 minutes and you will have 1 opportunity. We have a lot of people in the room. Hang on. And one of the things that I'm going to ask, so we can kind of move through this and we have an idea, if I can have the people who support the ordinance come up first.
Madam Chair, it's not an ordinance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean policy and procedure manual. If we can have the people who support it come up first, and if we have no one in the room who supports it, then what we will do is we will move on to the individuals who are opposed. That is how procedurally this is supposed to work. Are you opposed to the policy and procedure manual, Deb?
I have questions.
Okay, then come forward. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Debbie Lono. I'm from outside of Hayfork. Upon reviewing these, we do have a couple of generalized concerns and then a page by page. General comments are that we are still concerned about the constitutionality of accepting anonymous reports. And also the search and seizure warrant process. We'd still like clarification of the administrative or ex parte basis for what was discussed last meeting as a quick warrant process. Number 2, we believe this establishes a very generalized process whereby county department personnel are given broad authority to not only address a complaint they've received, but to use that process to gain access to viewing and documenting, including by photograph, all possible violations, major and minor, on neighboring property as well as the investigated property. Number 3, regarding hearing officers. I'm still a little confused about the role of the hearing officers at various stages of the abatement process and how they are selected. And it appears in the staff report that the board is being told that they still need to address that by passing another ordinance. And fourthly, again, we believe the fee and fine structure outlined in the enforcement procedures are extreme and beyond the ability and means of our county's average long-term citizens. As for page-by-page comments, on page 5, regarding anonymous complaints, number 2, it says discretion of code enforcement staff to determine when an anonymous complaint is reliable and whether it should remain anonymous. Again, I believe we should not accept anonymous complaints. We have the right to know who our accusers are. On page 6, there were requests for code enforcement staff other than sheriff's staff to consult with county council on all code enforcement activity. We again believe this might be an unnecessary expense and should be handled on a case-by-case basis rather than just a blanket. On page 7, they talk about administrative warrants, and again, we would like an explanation as to what that or the ex parte is. On page 9, administrative citations, again, we feel fine structures to be excessively high for our county, and the compounding of daily violations and multiple violations can quickly become too burdensome for the average citizen. And generally, regarding notifications, starting on page 10, 11, and 12, we would request that the board consider designating the days, 7 days, 10 days, 5 days, as business days, not calendar days, for purposes of notifications. Frequently, this may fall in a 3 or 4 day weekend period. People in our areas, sometimes if they don't have kids in school, only come into town once or twice a week. So if it's thank you very much.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, next.
Jose Acosta, Indian Valley, Hayfork area. I'm in support of this procedural manual. I know that it'll be adjusted as time goes on because it's not a perfect work of art. It will also give direction to code enforcement to follow the correct procedures. As far as administrative inspections issued by a court for entry into property, that's not something that the Board of Supervisors signs and tells the code enforcement to go on there. It's not something that County Council signs allowing code enforcement to go on the property. It's a judge, and a judge then listens to the evidence that the code enforcement or whoever officer presents, and they decide if it's reasonable, which is allowed by the Fourth Amendment. And I also believe that as far as fines, it should be stipulated a little more clearly that they are cumulative fines. So if there's 3 violations, let's say for marijuana, it's $300 a month, not just a day, not just $100 a day. To be clear, fines are meant to cause people to go into compliance, not to lower the fines so they can afford the fines and continue out of compliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment on code enforcement?
Is this for against, or are we still on pro?
Please, if you have a comment, come
Are
forward.
we in the opposition section yet?
Right.
We are. It would be nice, because I can't hear him back.
Yes, opposition.
Okay, I wasn't clear about that.
Okay.
Okay, Fred May, 37-year resident of Hayfork, California. It's my understanding that county council cannot be performed by a corporation, therefore all activities driven by protocol are illegal. Number 2, liability for the county. When any encroachment of civil rights, such as the First Amendment with Mark Potts happens, the county spent $250,000 to defend. A warrant was issued in Hayfork on property where I've been paying rent to a corporation since 2004, claiming I was the owner. The same warrant was used to, my name, Fred May, on it, was to enter Susan May's property 3/4 of a mile away by code enforcement, resulting in liability to the county in federal court for violating her Fourth Amendment and Second Amendment rights. They used a warrant with my name under code enforcement to enter her house, take away her double-barrel shotgun, and leave her and my 25-year-olds down by defenseless, where they've been paying rent to the same corporation since 2008. Former county council of the city of San Francisco is being retained to sue the county of Trinity, Bruce Haney, Deputy of Compton, all for millions of dollars in federal court, similar to what happened to Mark Potts. I hope we win and you pay a lot, because maybe when you pay $15 million, writing illegal code enforcement with a corporation instead of an individual, you'll realize, and the light will finally go on, you're hanging us and destroying our county.